If you've ever been around little kids, what's the first question they usually ask? Why? Why is related to purpose. It's the reason for something. Unfortunately, most people take jobs and decide on a career without really having a clear idea of why. This gap of clarity around purpose then feeds directly into an absence of meaning around the work that people do for their living. So to help demystify this today, we're going to take a look at two primary topics. Number one, we're going to examine the true purpose of work. And number two, we're going to talk about how you can go about creating that purpose and meaning that we all want to have in the work that we do for our living. If you're interested, more detailed guidance and information on these topics is available in my ebook titled How to Crush That Career Thing. This ebook is available via a link in the description below and on my website at SFC-SUITE.com. Let's get right to the core point, shall we? I believe that the fundamental and true purpose of all work is to serve other people. Making a living and making a profit are just symptoms of doing that job well. So let me lay out my argument for that so you understand why I believe this. Don't worry, this will only take about a minute. I'll be quick. We have three primary sectors of the economy where people are engaged in working to earn their living. We've got the for-profit sector, we have the not-for-profit or non-profit sector, and then we have the governmental sector. So when I use the term work, I'm speaking of people who are employed in one of those three sectors, whether they're employed by organizations or self-employed within their own business. So one of the first things to understand about our work, regardless of which sector of the economy you're working in, is that all work exists to provide people with products or services, and those products and services exist to solve problems, meet needs and wants for those people. The second thing to understand about our work is that helping people solve their problems, meet their needs and wants, that's equivalent to serving people. Therefore, I think it's clear that the only logical conclusion is that the fundamental true purpose of all work, the thing that underlies why all work exists, is to serve people. It's to provide them with quality products and services that will solve their problems and meet their needs and wants. Now, in American culture, it's quite common for us to believe that the purpose of work is to make a living, just as the purpose of a business is to make a profit. Both of these put the emphasis and the focus on a transaction rather than on service and relationship. Now, certainly, to be clear, all business activity involves transacting, but it also involves service and relationship. In fact, the better you do in business at focusing on service and relationship, usually, the better your business. It's really important for each of us to understand that where we put our focus really matters. If we choose to put our focus on, say, transacting and selling, then we're really putting the focus on what the provision of a product or service does for us. In the alternative, we could choose to put our focus on service and relationship, which is really going to put our focus on what the product or service is doing for those who buy and use the product or service. Can you see the difference? When it comes to our purpose, where we choose to place our focus really matters. It really impacts the experience, both for those people that we're serving, as well as for ourselves. If we're serving people well and they're really getting a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment out of the products and services that we're providing, we're going to feel great about that. Our level of fulfillment and the meaning in what we do is going to go up. Each one of us can choose the purpose that we adopt and attach to our work. We can choose a purpose that inspires or one that doesn't. Of course, the benefit of an inspiring purpose is that's going to provide some meaning that we'll find motivating in terms of how we relate to our work. You see, when it comes to meaning, I'd encourage you to think about meaning in this way. It's something that you create. Meaning is something that you bring to the things that you invest yourself in or involve yourself in. It's not something that you go seeking to find it in somebody else, or that you look for a job or anything else in life to actually provide you with that meaning. That's a very disempowering way to think about something as important as meaning and fulfillment. I believe that we all create meaning. We bring meaning into the work that we do. And that's why it's so fundamentally important for us to have a sense of, what do we find important? What do we find useful? What do we hold in high regard? And in essence, what are the things that we value that we're going to look for in the work that we do? Because it's that connection between our work and ourselves and the things that we value that create fulfillment and meaning in the work. If we don't actually take the time to find out what those things are and what that looks like in the world of work, we're really going to Vegas every time that we take a job, because we're just rolling the dice and hoping for the best. You know, a meaning that's actually fulfilling for you has to come, it has to originate from a purpose that you define that's inspiring and motivating for you. Now, while it's certainly possible that a toxic boss and a toxic organization and culture can steal the motivation and inspiration and really rob you of fulfillment in terms of the meaning that you would normally get out of working for an organization based on what that organization is doing. So I don't want to seem that I'm insensitive to that at all. My point here is that in spite of those things, if we take responsibility for our authority and power, authority being the ability to choose and power being the ability to act, we can remove ourselves from those situations, and we can take the substance of what inspires and motivates us, and we can plant that in an organization that's worthy of our values, that's worthy of our passion, that's worthy of our commitment. If you want to find work that aligns with your purpose and is very meaningful for you, you want to look for those products and services where the thing that inspires and motivates you about them is what they do for other people. Now, if you can connect with that, I call that a passionate vocational connection with the work. You've just given yourself some meaning behind the work that you're doing. Your work is now about creating, maintaining, servicing, whatever it is, products and services that do something that you're really inspired by. What you do is significant because it creates something, does something for those people who buy and use that product or service, and you don't want to let those people down. It gives you a sense of purpose to be part of solving that problem or meeting that need for those other people. So how is this any different than just making your work about your paycheck? Because it isn't just about your paycheck. You've taken the time to identify a purpose around work that you're deeply passionate about. You deeply care about what that product or service does for the people who buy and use that product. You're selecting the products and services that you care about. You're selecting the industry that manufactures those products and services or services them or whatever the case might be. You're selecting the organizations that have something to do with that. See, you're making a decision about something that you care about, and then you're following that all the way through down to a company filled with people who, just like you, care about those same things. So you see, that's what makes it so different, is you're not just going in with your hand out saying, give me a job, please, I just need a paycheck. What you're really doing is you're saying, I really want to go into the world of work and I want to become a part of something that I can be proud of. I want to become a part of something that I care deeply for. That's what makes it different. So that's a wrap for this video. I want to thank you for your time. And if you have any comments about anything in this video, use the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.